Defend yourself against DDoS attacks by hiding your true IP address with ExpressVPN, and visit my custom link expressvpn.com/ghilliemaster in the description to find out how you can get an extra 3 months free. Hey everyone, and welcome to another GTA Online Bottom Dollar Bounty DLC video here on the channel. And in this one, I'm going to be predicting how much money you will need to have saved up for the update. And the way I base my predictions for everything is all on past info from previous updates. However, it of course is my own opinion and I could be completely wrong, but even so, the final amount I give here, you should probably be somewhat close to, maybe within a few million to be on the safe side. Now the good news here is that we can be a bit more accurate since we already know a plethora of vehicles that will be arriving in this update because of the trailer we got yesterday. So the trailer and artwork together showed a total of 8 brand new vehicles, and these vehicles I think are all going to be available on day 1. That lines up with what we usually get on day 1 with updates. Usually we get anywhere from 7 to 11 vehicles the first day. So now let's go through each of the new vehicles in the trailer to decide on a price point for them. The first one right here at the beginning of the trailer, we have the Police Greenwood. And this is where I have to give the bad news. Rockstar has priced their cop cars in the last update very, very high. The Police Gauntlet was $5 million. And all the other ones were in the $4-ish million range. The base price of the regular Greenwood is $1,465,000. So I predict the police car version of the Greenwood to be $3,850,000. And I know that sounds like a lot, but I'm just basing it on the police vehicles from the last update, and those were quite expensive, so I don't expect this to be any less. The next one is the Impaler SZ police variant. The regular price for this car is $1,280,000, so I predict this one to be somewhere around the $3,500,000 range. Slightly less than the Greenwood police car, but still pretty expensive. And for our final police car, the Dorado, I think this one is going to be the most expensive one because it's an SUV. The regular Dorado is $1,375,000. My price prediction for this vehicle is going to be $4,200,000. Moving on to the other vehicles in the update, let's go over the Envision 74. I'm not sure what class this vehicle is going to be in. If I had to take a guess, probably sports. It's a more futuristic concept looking car, so I think it's going to be on the more expensive side. And with that being said, I'm putting this one at a $1.9 million price point. The new Bentley, which I said was electric in my video, I was actually mistaken. This car does have a traditional engine, at least in real life. So in-game, it should also have an engine. This one I think is going to cost $2.3 million. It's more of a luxury style vehicle, which would warrant the price being super high. And I hope it does perform nicely too, because none of the other Bentley vehicles we have in the game are very competitive performance-wise. The new Burrito van, this might just come with the business, in which case you would only have to purchase upgrades for it, kind of like the Acid Lab. But if you do have to purchase this separately, I can see it being around $1.2 million because at the end of the day, it is just a van, so I don't think it should be too expensive. If anything, you might end up paying more to upgrade the van than to outright buy it. The Pipistrello will be available for GTA Plus members the day the DLC comes out for free, but for everyone else, it's going to come out a week later, so I'm not going to include this vehicle for the day 1 costs because I don't want to just assume everyone has GTA Plus. But I do think this is going to be one of the most expensive vehicles in the DLC. I think just under $3 million, around $2,970,000 is a good price point. That's right around where the Turismo Imaggio sits, so that would make sense. And the last vehicle that we need to talk about is the new Mercedes that was on the artwork for the DLC. This one, I'm going to say, will be on the cheaper side, around $1.2 million. On top of just buying the vehicles, though, we also need to upgrade them. So I'm putting a flat $1 million upgrade fee on top of the vehicle sales. So if you buy every vehicle day 1 with upgrades, the total so far would be $25,150,000 just for the vehicles alone, as well as fully upgrading all of them. Moving on, let's talk about the new property. The Chop Shop salvage yards had an initial cost of $1,620,000 to $2,690,000. Usually Rockstar doesn't make the business costs an outrageous amount, so there's not an extremely massive barrier to entry. I'm going to go ahead and put the new bail business right around that price range, maybe even a little cheaper in the $1.3 to $2.4 million price range, depending on locations, which I assume there will be more than just one location for it. Maybe there's one out in Grapeseed that's way cheaper, and then one in the city, like the one they showed off in the trailer. That's probably going to be one of the more expensive ones. And lastly, I'm going to put these ones together, clothing and weapons. We haven't seen any new weapons shown off so far, and they didn't really mention any new weapons, but a flat $500,000 for a new weapon is about average. The battle rifle from the last update was just under $500,000, and for clothing, it can pile up depending on if you want to buy it all. So a $1.5 to $2 million budget should suffice there for clothing. Which brings our day 1 total if you want to purchase everything on the first day, vehicles, new property, clothing, the weapons, to $29,550,000. which is a little more expensive than average, but that's just because the cop cars are going to be expensive just like they were in the Chop Shop update. Of course, not everyone buys everything in the DLC directly on day one. In fact, I'm sure a majority of people just buy a couple of vehicles and then the new property and call it a day. But for the sake of this video, $30 million would be a good amount to go for if you really want to own everything. And if you don't want to own everything day one, you could probably get by with around $20 million. But we're not done just yet, because now we have to go over the drip feed. The drip feed, I think, will consist of 7 vehicles, and because it's a shot in the dark at what class they will be in, I usually just put a flat rate on them, so I'm going to go with $1,700,000 per vehicle. I think that's a fair amount. Some will likely be higher, and especially if there's cop cars in the drip feed, and some might be lower, but we just don't know. And along with that, we again have to throw in the $1 million upgrade cost per vehicle. And with everything added up, day one and the drip feed, the grand total for everything in the DLC is a whopping $48,450,000. Or depending on how we calculate what the Pipistrello cost, you might be over $50 million at that point. Which is usually around where my price predictions come out for DLCs if you want to own everything. Usually it's around the 50 million mark. And that does sound like a lot of money, but you have to keep in mind we're talking about everything in the entire update, including content that's several months away in the drip feed, so you're not going to need this much money for a long time to get all the vehicles and content. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about my price predictions down in the comments. Too expensive, too cheap, or just right? If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, feel free to leave a like, as well as subscribe to my channel for more GTA Online content. Let me know how much money you have saved up for the Bottom Dollar Bounties DLC. I also want to give a huge shout out to all my channel members for your support. If you'd like to become a member for some exclusive perks, you can either use the join button or the link that's down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.